From a theoretical point of view, I want to throw in another sort of a caveat into the mix, and that is that in the United States, the Department of Defense also develops what we call the National Defense Strategy. So you have an administration advancing a national security strategy, and then you also have the Department of Defense essentially coming up with a national defense strategy. So what is fundamentally different between the two? So for example, the national security strategy is developed by the president, the National Security Council. The State Department has a lot of say in it, as does the Department of Defense, but the intelligence, the Department of Homeland Security also plays a big role in making contributions to what goes into the NSS. The NDS, the National Defense Strategy, is essentially, while keeping the priorities of the president, they basically are developed by the Defense Department. And their goal is, in a way, to say, okay, this is what the national security strategy says. These are our threats. Which of these threats are military threats? How are we going to respond? So our national defense strategy will be to meet the defense-related challenges that are articulated in the national security strategy. So that is important. So for example, the main focus of the national security strategy is to define national interests and threats and overall priorities. But for the NDS, it is explained how the US military will support these priorities. So that is the key. So you could say in many ways, the goal of the national defense strategy is to say how the Department of Defense is going to achieve the goals and the strategy that is in the national security strategy.